There are many forces at work in the universe, just waiting to be harnessed and utilized to reinvent your reality as you know it. Take Einstein's general theory of relativity, for instance. In 2007, Gravity Probe B, one of NASA's most intricate satellites, confirmed with better than 1% what Einstein knew way back in 1915. That any object distorts the fabric of space-time, and the bigger it is, the greater the effect. This is also what's known as the geodetic effect. According to Einstein's theory, matter and energy distort or warp space-time, curving it out around themselves. Energy, according to Einstein's E equals mc squared, is closely related to mass. This distortion or warp then creates the effect of gravity, redirecting the path of objects that travel into it. The gravitational pull depends on the size of the space-time warp. So something huge with little mass will create a smaller distortion than a tiny object with a huge mass. The beauty of this is that you don't have to be the size of a planet to do some space-time warping. Anything with mass, including your body and its energy, bends this four-dimensional cosmic grid. You see, space expands out from each of us in 3 dimensions, up and down, and on each side, and in front and in back of you. And this happens into the depths of the universe, right? But Einstein showed that space doesn't exist independent of time. So space, combined with time, creates a 4-dimensional plane in which you and everything actually exist in. This 4-dimensional realm is the ultimate space, where you can literally bend time. So this whole bending time thing is actually very real. And I'm going to give you an example of how I actually was able to do it. You see, last November of 2012, I was asked to speak on stage at a buddy of mine's event. His name is Jonathan Budd. He's also an internet marketer. The day before Jonathan's event, I went into a deep trance-like state meditating onto the Sri Yantra. I pictured myself as a whole united being already at Jonathan's event and already making the speech that I was supposed to give. I pictured as if it already happened, and I pictured the Sri Yantra layered over the crowd, almost like a topographical map. I concentrated on that imagery for quite some time and felt it. I felt as if I was already on stage and I already made that speech. I took in all that I was receiving from the universe and Jonathan's event right in that moment, and I just breathed right into it the night before. A funny thing about this whole entire thing was that I didn't even practice my slides and I barely knew what I was going to talk about. And the next day when I got to Jonathan's event, I got on stage and I quite literally don't even remember being on stage. I got off stage and I asked my staff, well, how did I do? And they're like, what do you mean, how did you do? I said, I don't remember at all being on stage or even presenting what I was talking about. I was actually presenting on stage, but I was doing other work subconsciously. And they said, what do you mean you don't remember? And I just remember holding my head and I was like, I don't remember being on stage and giving this speech. And that's because while I was on stage, while I was actually speaking, it already happened for me. So while I was on stage, I was actually doing other work. So I had actually manipulated reality in real time right at the moment. Not only did I get a standing ovation, but I actually sold more from stage than any other speaker at that event. So what did I actually do that made that happen? Well, I quite literally bent time, because it was as though I already was at Jonathan's event the day before while I was meditating on the Sri Yantra and meditating on picturing being there and projecting myself forward into that event so that I can actually do that without me even thinking about it, so that my brain and my subconscious can do work while I'm actually doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So what this allows you to do is be in 2 places at once and create that energy vortex and create that around you. Now, this does take practice, and I suggest you use this with caution, because if you try to project yourself into multiple locations at once, you can get very, very lost. Trust me, I've tried it before. And being in multiple locations and trying to do this as much as you can will eventually hurt and affect your health and ability to do this on a much larger scale to help the universe, to help yourself, and to help others. So be very, very careful on how you use this.